Pleasant day, everyone, especially to Ms.Crystal Jane Clar, our professor. Hi, ma'am. Good morning. My name is Democrito Juagpao Jr. from BTVTED-2D major in FSM. First of all, the medium of language that we are using in this video is Taglish. Even though the subject is English, but we want to further discuss our thoughts, ideas regarding each topic. Our topic is all about Marxism. Karl Marx said, "The history of all previous society has been the history of class struggle." So the question is, what is Marx's theory? Who is the proponent of this theory and how it is related to culture? Okay, first, let us answer the first question. What is Marxism and who is the proponent? Karl Marx is a German philosopher, economist, sociologist, journalist, revolutionary socialist. He is the root of Marxist literary theory, born on 5th day of May 1818 in Trier, Germany. His writings become the basis of Marxism approach. Died on 14th day of March 1883. The second question is, what is Marxism? The first meaning, Marxism is a worldview and method of social analysis that focuses on class relation and societal conflict, that uses a materialist interpretation of historical development and a dialectical view of social transformation. So meaning, it focuses on class relation and societal conflict which people experiences are responsible for shaping and developing an individual personal consciousness. Second definition of Marxism. Marxism is a difficult and continuous body of work. Yes, it's true. In the workplace, Marxism is existing even up to this day. It is between the link of the bourgeoisie, or what we call the wealthy class, and the proletariat, what is it other called, it is the working class. So before that, I have some example or image that further discuss about the Marxism in the workplace. But before that, let me read to you the third definition of the Marxism. The Marxism approach to culture insists that texts and practices must be analyzed in relation to the historical condition of production. So, tapos na, di ba? So, may ipapakita akong picture and it is explained the Marxism in the workplace. So, makikita natin dito sa picture that merong kapitalismo, merong working class, the wages, and the wealth created by the labor. So, ano nga ba ang Marxismo? So, di ba sinabi ko, as what I have said to you earlier, that Marxism is the link between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. So, meron katunggalian na nangyayari. So, in this picture, makikita natin that a capitalist dominated the working class or in-exploit niya. So, ano bang ang makikita natin dito na ang kapitalismo ay nagbigay ng sahod sa working class, na kung saan ang working class, he's created the production. And alam natin na makikita natin dito na ang kinikreate ng working class ay malaki, o yung labor na nagawa nila ay malaki. And then, yung kapitalismo, siya yung nagkukontrol ng means of production. Kung baga, merong katunggalian na nangyayari, merong diskriminasyon. So, ang Marxismo ay may katunggalian ng mahirap at mayaman, mahina at malakas. Diba? Naiintindihan nyo ba kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng Marxismo? Okay. Marx argues that each significant period in history is constructed around a particular mood of production, that is which a society is organized. So, concepts in classical Marxism. Mood of production. What is mood of production? Mood of production is a form in which product of society or means of subsistence are produced, exchanged, consumed, or use. It incorporates into forces of production, relation of production. So what is forces of production? Forces used in the production process, which are the human labor and means of production. Ito yung mga tools, machineries, equipments, and other materials, mga raw materials. And then, relation of world production, ito yung mga social structure of the economy that determines how income, goods, and assets are distributed. So, dito na bibilong yung mga kapitalista, the legal distribution or the control. Sila yung nagkontrol sa forces of production. So, according to Karl Marx, there are three mode of production. First is the slave mode of production, which human beings are owned as property. So ito yung the master and slave relation. Next is the feudal mode of production, has a noble aristocratic ruling class that owns land and has a control. Ito yung relasyon ng lord at peasant. Ito yung relasyon ng mahirap at may kapangyarihan. Next is the capitalist mode of production, which there is a private ownership of the means of production by dominant capitalist class, the bourgeoisie. Ito yung relasyon ng multi-class and working class. So each mode of production produces the necessaries of life like food, shelter, dress, and etc. As Marx explained, the mode of production of material life condition the social, political, and intellectual life processes in general. This claim is based on certain assumption about the relationship between base and superstructure that Marx's account of culture rests. So what is base? Base is endangers and controls all humans, institutions, and ideologies. Consists of a combination of the forces of production, as what I said earlier, ito yung mga tools, machineries, and all production forces. And relation of production, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na mga kapitalismo o yung nagkontrol o yung mga instrumento na nagkontrol sa forces of production. Next is yung superstructure. Superstructure which develops in conjunction with a specific mode of production consists of institution, political, legal, educational, cultural, etc. So, superstructures explain the ideas of norms and relationship regarding religion, morality, and politics are all example. So, I have some illustration that further explain the relationship between base and superstructure. The base superstructure model is a brief understanding of how ownership controls the means of production, controls society. The base made up of the means of production, all things needed to produce something, for example, machineries, factories, to build a car, and the relationship of production, the way in which the bourgeoisie exploit the proletariat. The base shapes the superstructure. The bourgeoisie has the control or have the means to produce the news, television, and films to reinforce their dominant ideology and the rest of the society. This in turn maintains and legitimates the base, preventing the proletariat or the working class from realizing they're being exploited. Therefore, what happens in the superstructure is a passive reflection of what is happening in the base. Marx and Engels, 2009, the ideas of the ruling class are in every pouch the ruling ideas. The ruling class or the class which is the ruling materials force in society is at the same time its ruling intellectual force. So baka nagtataka kayo bakit nandito sa Engels na as what I have said earlier that the root of this Marxist theory is Karl Heinrich, but on the other hand, Engels or Friedrich Engels is a friend of Marx and also a philosopher of the Marxist theory that he also collaborated the study of the Marxist theory. So according to Marx and Engels, meaning the ruling class controls the means of production and therefore controls the mental production and distribution of ideas and how it works and and how it works are dominant and promotes false consciousness. Next, a classical Marxism approach to popular culture would above all insist that to understand and explain text or practice must always be suited in the historical moments of production, analyzed in terms of historical condition that produce it.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Lady Trin S. Lequit from BTVTED-2D, major in FSM. My part is to discuss or explain the autosarianism. The question is, who is the person behind this story and how it is related to culture? Autosarianism. Louis Pierre Althusser, a French Marxist philosopher. Louis Althusser builds the work of Jacques Lacan to understand the way ideology functions in society and how people deals the ideology and capitalism in the society. Louis Althusser, born on October 16, 1918 in Allegria, died on October 22, 1990, Paris, France. Althusser discussed ideology in his work, looking at the way in which people lose their individuality and become subject based on ideological views. So, it means that people are losing themselves because of their practices in which ideology maintains and shapes the practices in their culture. For example, men are more powerful than women without knowing that women can do the things that boys can did. Men are more dominant in our society. According to Althusser, a social formation consists of three practices: the economic, the political, and the ideological. The relationship between the base and the superstructure is not one of expression. So, superstructure ay kung saan nagme-maintain, halimbawa yung family. Sila yung nagme-maintain at nagmumold sa atin into a good person, which is the best, the product. Althusser produced the three definitions of ideology, two of which have proved particularly fruitful for the student of popular culture. The first definition, which overlaps in some ways with the second, is the claim that ideology, a system with its own logic and rigor of representation, images, myth, ideas, or concept, is a practice through which men and women live their relation to the real condition of existence. Althusser argues that ideology has a profound relationship with subjective of experience. So, yes, because ideology is not simply body of ideas, it's also a practice. For example, we students ay naatasan by this means and ideology make us feel where we can express ourselves being more productive and functionaries. And also, Althusser discussed ideology has a material existence, which means ideology is a practice and it is the will and willingness of a person. For example, sa ating mga paniniwala gaya ng mga ritual, kaya ito ay sinasabi ng ideolohiya is a material of existence.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Stephany C. Grumo, BTVTED-2D, major in Food and Services Management. My part is to explain hegemony, so that the question is, who is the proponent of hegemony? What is hegemony and how it relates to the culture? Antonio Gramsci is an Italian Marxist philosopher, journalist, linguist, writer, and politician. He was born on January 22, 1891 in Alice, Italy. He died on April 27, 1937 in Rome, Italy. Gramsci 2009, the concept of hegemony referred to a condition in process in which a dominant class does not merely rule a society but leads it through the exercise of intellectual and moral leadership. Hegemony involved a specific kind of consensus. A social group seeks to present its own particular interest as the general interest of the society as a whole. Hegemony is never simply power imposed from above. It is always the result of negotiations between dominant and subordinate groups, a process marked by both resistance and incorporation. When we talk about hegemony, it influence or control over another country, meaning to say this is a nation that has control or deception that our actions are controlled by them. Example, Spain was colonized our country within 333 years because at that time they have the right to control our action inside our country. Hegemony is organized by theory whom Gramsci designates organic intellectuals. According to Gramsci, intellectuals are distinguished by their social function. That is to say, all men and women have the capacity for intellectual endeavor, but only certain men and women have in society the function of intellectuals. Each class, as Gramsci explains, creates organically its own intellectuals. Hegemony theory allows us to think of popular culture as a negotiated mix of what is made both from above, below, both commercial and authentic, or shifting balance of forces between resistance and incorporation. It means that hegemony can give the actual intellectual's idea which broadcast the idea of a person to make it as a cultural identity to be more productive and more oriented to idealism, which also the hegemony can bring the ideal performances to the person of their called intellectual dominance to the society. Example, the Philippine Congress is ruled by a House Speaker or a classroom is ruled by a class president. To maintain class is the classroom by it means given to them a proper display of dominance and leadership with its hegemony means, and that it impacted to the cultural norm is that how they are confident and more dignified between to the people of different class.
Post-Marxism. Angela McRuby is a British sociologist, cultural theorist, feminist, known for popular culture, contemporary media practices, and feminism, born in 1951. So why I included Angela McRuby in post-Marxism? Because she is the one who elaborated post-Marxism as the means or as essential in studying popular culture. So Angela McRuby observes Marxism is no longer as influential in cultural studies as it has been in the past. So, according to McRuby, Marxism is no longer existing in studying popular culture or cultural studies because he supported or collaborated the study of the Ernesto Laclau and Chantal Mouffe, where post-Marxism is to leave behind Marxism for something better, whereas to be post-Marxist is to seek to transform Marxism by adding it to recent theoretical development form, especially feminism, postmodernism, post-structuralism, and psychoanalysis. Meaning, post-Marxism is to leave behind Marxism for the one thing that is much better, while to become post-Marxist, you should seek the origin of Marxism through recent developmental form. Therefore, cultural studies is a post-Marxist in a positive sense advocated by Mouffe and Laclau. To sum up everything that has been stated so far, Marxism explains how human societies progress through class struggles, the conflict between the ruling class known as the bourgeoisie and the control means of production, and working classes known as the proletariat that work on these means by living or by selling labor for wages. Althusser believes that Marx's work is a fundamental incompatible with its antecedents because it is a build of theory of knowledge that rejects the distinction between subject and object. Hegemony refers to the way in which dominant groups in society through a process of intellectual and moral relationship or leadership, seek to win the consent of subordinate groups in society or in the popular culture is the site of struggle between the resistance and the forces of incorporation. However, post-Marxist, unlike traditional Marxism, which emphasizes the priority of class struggle and the common humanity of oppressed groups, post-Marxism reveals the sexual, racial, class, and ethnic division of modern society. This is the end of the video. I hope you will clearly understand our topic or report. And if you will not clearly understand, you may refer or download our PPT, and I will give you the link on the description below. Thank you so much and have a pleasant day.